All right, so this is a bit of a different video, kind of just like you and I having a conversation. And I want to talk about advanced English. Now, many teachers teach that advanced English is important for many reasons to sound more professional. And yes, it's good to sound more professional, but that's not the main reason that you learn business English or professional English or advanced English. No, there's a specific reason, and we're going to talk about that today. Some students learn advanced English because they want to feel like they're at an advanced level when they speak, but that's fine. But that shouldn't be your motivation, because if that's your motivation, then you're going to get unmotivated. You're going to lose that motivation when maybe you get stuck in a situation. So by having the right motivation, and I'm going to tell you what it is in a few moments, it's going to help you to understand why you're using it. And if you understand why you're using it, it's going to be easier to remember and not get stuck. Does that make sense? Now, we have to understand what the purpose of language is. What's the purpose of language? It's to transmit your thoughts clearly using words to other people. And that includes expressing your feelings. Maybe you agree with something, maybe you disagree with something. And advanced English allows you to do this in a more concise way. A good example of this is, I'm going to use like scientific English, right? Which we're not going to use unless you're a doctor or a dentist. But if you think about it, scientists, doctors, they have specific words that mean the same thing. Two different words can mean a very similar thing. And you think, what's the point of using this big word? There's no point of it. Right? And I can give you an example. In linguistics, there's something called punctuality, and then there's something called telicity. And you're like, what is this? And here's the thing. They both kind of mean the same thing, right? They kind of mean, and maybe there's a term called boundedness already as well. But the point is, I personally reached out to a linguist, a professional, and she said, they kind of mean the same thing. They mean the ability to say if something has an endpoint or not. And the reason she said this was it depends on who's writing the paper. Who's the one that is explaining this dissertation? That's going to depend on who uses it or who doesn't use it. The point is, sometimes these words are important to be specific about a specific situation, right? And the same thing applies to advanced English. Advanced English is to help you be more precise, more concise with how you're expressing yourself. And a perfect example of this would be some phrasal verbs or idioms, which that can be considered advanced English to a certain point. So if I say, for example, cancel, and I say call off, the more advanced way of saying cancel, that's not the exact same thing. You cancel something is general. To call something off, you call it off because it's an event, a meeting, a party. No, we called off the party. And it softens it a little bit. It's different than using just cancel. So you need to understand this. My arm is hurting. So I'm just going to set this down here. And I think we can communicate like this, right? And you're okay with this, right? I'm okay with it. So it's important to be able to understand these things and to understand that advanced English has a purpose. And the purpose is to be more concise with your words to avoid misunderstandings, right? Here's another example, right? And this is structure. We're not talking about advanced English vocabulary now. I'm talking about an advanced structure. And it's saying but or saying if, right? What am I talking about? I can say, for example, the train ride is long but beautiful. Or I can say as well, the train ride, let's say you're going from Italy to Sweden, is beautiful but long. Now, when I say that, there's a downside, you see, or there's an upside, a positive side. So I can play around with it. That's the basic version. Right? The trip to Italy is beautiful, but long. So it's beautiful, but it's also long. So there's a positive side and there's a negative side. But there's an advanced structure that's usually seen in books. People write it, it's literary. And it's using if instead of but. So you can say, for example, the train ride to Italy is beautiful if long. And you're thinking, what's the difference? The difference is that if is more precise. It's more advanced, yeah, but it's more precise. It doesn't only show you that there's a negative or positive side. That's not the focus. The focus is, well, nothing in life is perfect. So I'll leave it for you to decide whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that it's long. Because it's beautiful, maybe it doesn't bother you that it's long. So if I were to use but, I'm kind of deciding for you. Oh, the train ride to Italy is long but beautiful. So when I use but, the basic way, I'm deciding for you. I'm telling you, I want you to think it's a long ride, but it's also beautiful. Maybe I'm trying to convince you of something, and that has its function. But using a more advanced structure, so the train ride to Italy is long if beautiful, or the train ride to Italy is beautiful if long, right? I'm helping you to contemplate about whether you want to decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe I'm even trying to say, well, you have to be there to find out, right? So there's a sort of empathy in being more concise and precise. So when you understand that the point of advanced English is to transmit your thoughts more clearly, more concisely, precisely, so that there's no misunderstandings, it allows you to have a more personal touch to the language and to really understand why it's important to learn phrasal verbs and idioms. And that's what we do in my course. We teach our students not only, use phrasal verbs, use advanced English. No, we teach them why it's important to use these things, context. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, my students. And yeah, if you're interested in learning more, then you want to apply to work with us in my course, click the link down below. If you're interested in not just learning, advanced vocabulary, the traditional way, and you want more because you know it can help you, we can help you do that. So that's all for now, and I'll see you guys next time.